So move.
Is there a second? All those in favor of allowing the sponsor to withdraw House Bill 442, please say aye. If you're opposed, please raise your hand in the panel. It's unanimous. House Bill 442 will be allowed to be withdrawn. House Bill 44, I'm looking to see what is not a big discussion, but you know what? I think we're just going to do it in the order they're in for the moment.
Madam Chair, did we get emailed the voting list? I don't see mine in my email box.
You know what? You may not.
No, we got it. We
Mine
have
went
three
to
versions.
spam. Mine went to spam, but I got it.
Melissa updated it 3 times as bills were added. So
Delegate Schilling, I can resend it to you.
And
I
you
received
said
it.
Delegate Chisholm as well?
Thank you. Send it to my Gmail. Our staff isn't here.
Sure.
Yeah, we were all copied.
Okay. So we're going to start with House Bill 448, which was held yesterday. Hang on. Okay, I've got 6 texts in the time that we've started this meeting, and I don't know what they're about yet, but I'm not going to be dealing with it. Okay. We had a thorough debate on this bill yesterday. So I don't expect there to be as much debate. I would ask that you limit your comments if you need to explain your vote to one concise sentence, as I will do. I will set the example and stick to the rules that everyone else has today. That's why I'm saying it up front. I would like someone to please move House Bill 448.
move the
So
bill.
move. Second.
Okay. Excuse me, I'm being interrupted.
There's a new one.
Okay, fine, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. We're not going to discuss it till we vote, and then if you want to explain your vote in one sentence, raise your hand after I call for that, raise your hand in the panel. I want to count the no votes first. So all those in favor of the bill, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed to the bill, please raise your hand in the panel so we can take an official count.
Madam Chairman, I'm sorry,
Yes.
I got kicked offline. What bill are we on?
We're on House Bill 448, and you'll be allowed with one sentence, one concise sentence to explain your vote if you want to.
And I'm sorry, what's that? I'm on my phone. So what's the? is
State
this the-
government, legal and employee holiday, Juneteenth, National Freedom Day.
Okay, so we didn't make any changes. It's still a
That's-
paid holiday.
That's correct.
Thank you.
It's exactly the status we left it in when we left our voting session yesterday. And I will invite you after we vote to explain your vote. But
Thank you.
now I need a hand for a no vote. I have 3 no votes on this bill. Assuming that we're all here, and I assume someone on staff is figuring that out, gets 21 votes in favor and 3 votes opposed. I hear no argument with that. So please take your hands down from the panel on the vote. I presume staff got that. Did you get that, staff?
Yeah, we got it. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone who would like to explain his or her vote? Raise your hand for the opportunity. Delegate Bhandari.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. You said in one sentence, so I will try, right? For allowing me and everybody to reflect on this one And I remember I quickly thought about the Lincoln who issued Emancipation of Proclamation. And I thought that we celebrate Columbus, we celebrate Washington birthday, let's celebrate the end of slavery in our country. And I believe the states should celebrate the day that every American was truly free. And again, thank you, Madam Chair, for giving us extra time to reflect on this bill.
Thank you, Delegate Benderi. That was too long an answer. I appreciate the answer, and it was good, the explanation, and it was excellent, but it did not set the example I was hoping for. So we'll move on to Delegate Morgan and then Delegate Riley for shorter sentences, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everybody. Real quickly, to explain my vote on this, I'm voting for this because there was some chatter on the committee about where to go for Juneteenth. St. Mary's County, we've had one of the largest festivals for Juneteenth for the last 15 or 20 years. Most people don't know a lot about this holiday because it's a Texas holiday. This is where it started. It was 2 years after the Civil War. So I do think it's important to note the fiscal note on this. There was some discussion about this. This is a lot of money. And when we have a debate on the floor about things like, boost funding that overwhelmingly helps like African Americans, and then we turn around and have a funding with this like $2 million, nobody should be looking at our intentions or assigning motives like I thought was happening during some of the voting session yesterday. So we appreciate, looking at everybody, in the purest of intentions. So thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Morgan. You two did not do what I asked you to do. You guys are really, and
It's an important bill, Madam Speaker, I know.
It's fair, and it was from the heart. And so I guess I'm going to have to say that my rule is slightly amended. And if it's a long sentence or two, it's fine. And I apologize for not understanding the complexity that needed to be addressed in your response. Delegate Riley and then Delegate Shalega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mine will be a little bit longer because I didn't speak yesterday. But anyway, I was hoping to vote green on this bill because I do believe in Juneteenth and what it represents and the freedom from slavery. And it is part of our American history. But in the midst of this current pandemic of unemployment, with so many people out of work, I cannot condone another paid holiday for our state employees, the majority of whom have not missed a paycheck. I also cannot condone another paid holiday for state employees who are getting an extra $1,000 check out of the state budget when so many of those that are unemployment and working in the private sector still have not received their first unemployment check all the way back from, last March. So I really did want to vote for this, and I wish we would have amended it to make it a legal holiday, but to make it now under these circumstances as a state paid holiday, I just cannot do it. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Delegate Shalega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I echo Delegate Riley's comments and just would add, I am truly heartbroken that we couldn't find a compromise on this. I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is on such a sensitive bill that we could not find a compromise to allow us to come together unified behind this very important holiday. And then maybe next year, find a way to make it paid. But I have so many friends and family members that are losing their businesses, that haven't worked, that can't afford to give their employees a paid day off. I have to vote no with the greatest sorrow.
Thank you, Delegate Shalega. Delegate Krebs, then Delegate Chisholm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I share my colleagues' sentiments. This is an important day, and I really think we should be teaching our kids about it. And I'm very disappointed that this committee brought it up so late in the process. This bill was House Bill 448, so it's been in a long time. And our committee decided it, yesterday. And I would have liked to have swapped out a holiday so there was not a fiscal impact. But as was said, to put this in right now when we're taking away funding for minority kids from Boost, and our state employees have some of the best benefits and days off. There's barely time to work. 4.5 weeks of paid leave. when you start. When you walk in the door on the first day, 4.5 weeks of paid leave. After 20 years, you get 7.5 weeks of paid leave. And when people aren't working, we're adding another paid holiday for millions of dollars. I would have easily supported this very important designation holiday if we had swapped out for another holiday. And we didn't even have time to discuss that. It was like, take it or leave it. And I'm disappointed that our committee waited this long to discuss this and tried to find a way we could have done it, that we could have all supported it.
Thank you, Delegate Krebs. Delegate Chisholm.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Little inside baseball. In the Republican circles, I have known as Braveheart because I bring up freedom so often. You'll hear me say it on the floor. We were not truly a free country until this day. So to me, physical notes obviously always bother me, but in this case, I think they'll figure it out. I'm glad this day is going to be celebrated. It's when everybody was finally free, at least, constitutionally. So I think it is an important day. And, I think they'll figure out a day to change it out if they have to. I'm glad that it's now being celebrated. I'm not too worried about the physical note. I will say, if we have to, I will work with Delegate Barron and see if we can get some rebates on the test kits, and maybe that'll pay for that physical note. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Delegate Chisholm. Delegate Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My one sentence is this: I think it is incredibly important that this be a paid holiday. So I'm very glad that we're moving forward with it in that way, because I think that shows what our priorities are as a state and what our values are. So I'm glad that we're moving forward with it as a paid holiday, but I am certainly open to perhaps finding a way in the future to get rid of another holiday, perhaps Columbus Day, because again, what we choose to pay as for paid holidays does show our values. So I'm very glad we're moving forward with this bill. Thank you.
Delegate Saab.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I wasn't going to say anything. I struggled with this, and I actually didn't decide. I haven't decided until literally this morning how I'm going to vote, because I still think one of my biggest disappointment, and I hate to say that the committee did not compromise. I think we continue to equate money with celebration, and I feel bad for the other people that want to celebrate it, and they're not going to get paid, and we're picking and choosing who is going to celebrate, who's going to get paid for it, who's not going to get paid for it. And I do not support swapping Columbus Day, because I think we're going to take it at the expense of another group that would be also offended by taking it. So it's the symbolic part of it is important. At the end of the day, I decided to vote for the bill because I think it's important, and I'm hoping that in the future that we can still find some sort of compromise that makes everyone happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Saab. Delegate Hill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I spoke 2 days ago on this bill and wasn't planning on speaking, but having, listened to both sides and spoken out initially looking for a way to deal with the fiscal note, I think the important thing is to recognize that part of the problem we have in America is certain people are always asked to compromise. Certain groups are always being told it's not time and it's not right. And so I appreciate the leadership of the chair in not compromising on this bill and saying that we can afford to do this because it's the right thing to do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Delegate Hill. I was going to say what Delegate Kelly said in explaining my vote, as well as what Delegate Hill said, and I couldn't have said it better. I will add to that I know this committee has a philosophy of trying to find that sweet spot where everyone is comfortable. Getting to 21 votes is pretty darn good. I think it sends a very clear message about who we are, and those people who voted against it have said a clear message of why they couldn't get there. And I so value every one of the members of this committee. I can't tell you how much I love you all and am grateful to you all for the way you try to work together and that we value each other. And for any hurt feelings that there have been in this process, I hope that this vote was healing, and I hope that we can move forward the way we always work together. Thank you all for working so hard to get to where we needed to get. With that, the bill passes with 21 votes. We'll move on to House Bill 527. Tyler.
House Bill 527 alters the duties of the St. Mary's County Human Relations Commission. It repeals statutory language that explicitly requires the commission to encourage and ensure equal treatment of all people without regard to race, color, religion, ancestry, national origin, sex, age, marital status, or physical or mental disability, so that it would now read that the commission must encourage and ensure equal treatment of all people, consistent with current federal, state, and local laws and regulations. It was voted unanimously with an amendment in subcommittee. There's a recommendation. We don't have it in writing to share with you, but it would add a requirement for the commission to post the list of classes of people protected by current federal, state, and local law on a publicly accessible website, so that members of the public who maybe don't have time to study or check on all existing laws that pertain to civil rights and human rights, that they could just go to perhaps the commission website and receive the list of these protected groups. So that amendment and the bill itself were voted unanimously in subcommittee.
Okay, can we have the amendment in time for it to be put on as a committee amendment?
Yes.
Go to the floor that way? Thank you. That's a technical question. Delegate Rosenberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a sound bill, sound amendment for public transparency. And I would just add that the committee was satisfied that this was, that this action, this legislation was furthering civil rights in St. Mary's County by a letter that we received from the Commission on Civil Rights, the state agency, that as a legal matter said, all state and federal laws would still apply in St. Mary's County. The result, the effect of this bill is that they don't have to change their law every time state or federal government changes its civil rights law. So move favorable with the amendment that is to come.
Second.
Move favorable.
Second.
Is there discussion on this bill? Or the amendment, excuse me. Are you okay with including an amendment that does that? I assume that you understand it and it's pretty straightforward. I see no discomfort. So all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed, no. Please raise your hands. The amendment passes unanimously.
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Is there any discussion on this bill? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. This bill passes unanimously. How nice to get rid of laundry lists. House Bill 790. Tyler.
House Bill 790 repeals the statewide goal of at least 1% of all procurement contracts being made to veteran-owned small business enterprises, VSBEs. Instead, it requires the Special Secretary in GOSBA to adopt statewide goal by regulation. And then the bill makes various changes to align the VSBE preference program and existing preference management structures with GOSBA, and then it establishes an advisory committee on VSBEs within GOSBA. It was supported unanimously in subcommittee.
Delegate Rosenberg.
And this bill is the result of a work group or task force that was created in response to action by the committee last year. Is an effort to treat veterans comparable in terms of the input they get, advice they get in evaluation as other entities that are benefit under small minority and women business affairs, procurement, and therefore was a unanimous favorable recommendation by the subcommittee.
Is there discussion? All those in favor say aye. Oh, did you move it? I'm sorry. Did you
Move favorable.
Second.
Is there discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill passes unanimously. House Bill 920. Tyler.
House Bill 920, we're revisiting from last voting session pertaining to the Open Meetings Act. It would adjust the definition of administrative function, excluding certain personnel matters, therefore making them subject to the Open Meetings Act. And there's an amendment being introduced that you should have been sent as well.
Okay, do you want to explain the amendment?
So it changes the definition, the definition being used for the exemption. So it would, the types of functions that would be subject to the Open Meetings Act would be appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of an appointee, employee, or official over whom the public body has direct jurisdiction.
Delegate Rosenberg.
The amendment would clarify the scope of the change that we're making in law and was acceptable to the subcommittee. So I would move the amendment.
Is there a
Second.
second? Thank you. I'm going to ask you a question. I am expecting that what this does is that it says if I'm on a board, a commission, and the employee works somewhere in the government below me, that employee doesn't work directly for me. This somewhat limits the people for whom this would apply to appointments that are made by that particular body. Is that accurate? I'm going to ask Tyler, our lawyer.
That fits with my understanding of the amendment and the bill.
Okay. Is there a discussion of the amendment beyond my question? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, please raise your hands in the panel. Delegate Krebs is a no. Delegate Chisholm is a no. Everybody else, Delegate Shalega is a no. Delegate Riley is a no. Delegate Kipke is a no. Delegate Saab is a no. Delegate Morgan is a no. Is anybody going to explain their vote that's a no? Okay, put your physical hand up if you need to explain your vote. Delegate Krebs.
Are we on the amendment or the bill?
The amendment.
Okay.
Amendment.
I'm just going to tell you, and I hate to say this to this group, but I've been very disappointed this week. I know we're at the end of the rope, but some of this stuff has not been thoroughly discussed. And I've listened to some of the discussion, and it's like, I don't think people understand what we're doing, and we don't reach back. This affects my county greatly because we're a commissioner form of government, and it's a very good, and the Open Meetings Compliance Board, who's in charge of this, has recommended unfavorable. And I appreciate the amendment, but I didn't see anyone get back to them and say, okay, does this fix anything? I don't think we've done our homework on this, and I don't know what we're doing. So I don't know that this fixes it or not. But when the Open Meetings Compliance Board's against it, it raises a red flag, and you know, again, it affects my county, and I don't know if it's good or not. It's just, I tend to not want to pass a bill that I don't understand and don't understand the impact. Doesn't mean I don't agree with the intention. I definitely agree with the intention. But to pass something so quickly when it's not known how it's going to affect my county, which really, you know, you talked about, Madam Chair, about being on the council. The council is nothing compared to commissioner because they sit in the administrative function for everything. They don't have a county executive. So this impacts our county a lot. And I don't know to what extent, because I haven't had time to vet it. And I don't think it was very well vetted I listened to the subcommittee, and I don't think it was vetted very well. And the people that we needed to be there to answer the questions were not there. So for that reason, I'd rather vote no to something than vote yes to something that is not fully vetted. That affects my county a lot. So I guess.
Thank you, Delegate Krebs. Is there anybody else who wants to put a physical hand up and explain a vote against the amendment? Against the amendment. Delegate Carr, did I see your hand in support of the amendment that you wanted to explain your vote?
Yes, Madam Chair. I just wanted to clarify the amendment it's not a new amendment. It's the exact same amendment that was discussed in subcommittee and that we discussed yesterday in the and actually in the hearing as well, and in the voting session yesterday.
Okay, now I'm looking in the panel of the votes of Delegate Morgan, your hand is up. I assume it's a no vote, but all the other no votes went away, which I'm sure is not accurate. Can you, all those who are opposed to this bill, would you put your hands up again, since people who have explained their votes? I have Delegate Chisholm, Delegate Shalega, Delegate Krebs, Delegate Riley, Delegate Kipke, Delegate Morgan, Delegate Saab.
Do we need to move the bill as amended?
Yeah, the chair of the subcommittee, now that I'm sure that we have all the votes recorded properly, we do. Thank you, Delegate Carr.
So move the bill as amended.
second,
All those in favor, say aye. Or is there discussion on the bill? I'm sorry. I don't want to leave that out. All those in favor, oh, are those hands for discussion or no? Krebs, why's your hand up? Let's
Well,
just start again.
I asked if we were on the amendment, and you said we were on the bill. So I'm not sure if we did the bill.
Right. We are now on the bill.
Okay.
And I'm asking if there's any discussion, and your hand is up. Okay, is there anyone who wants to discuss this bill? Seeing no one, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please raise your hands again, and I'm sorry to have confused you. My fault. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 no votes. Okay. The bill passes. House Bill 990. Tyler.
Bill 990 would make NEMA a department and cabinet level agency. So it would be the Department of Emergency Management, secretary of which would be appointed by the governor with the advice and consent of the Senate. It would move responsibility for the 911 telecommunications board to the department. There's an amendment included. It's technical, just moving, making sure that because the bill is transferring positions to this technically new department, it's just adding the positions that are currently within the Department of Public Safety and Correctional Services to make sure all of them are captured in the bill appropriately. It came out, the bill with the amendment came out unanimously in subcommittee.
We felt the bill would, subcommittee felt the bill that making this change would enhance the operation of the 9/11 system, which is the purpose of the bill, and therefore it was unanimous, and I would move the amendment.
Is there
second,
a second? All those in favor say aye, all those opposed no. The amendment appears to pass unanimously.
Move the bill as amended.
second,
Is there discussion? All those in favor say aye, all those opposed no. The bill appears to pass unanimously. House Bill 990 is passed. House Bill 1214. Tyler.
House Bill 1214 brings, first it redefines unit for purposes of state procurement and for the applying certain state procurement provisions to local procurement units that are using state funds or are procuring for a project that benefits the state. And the provisions are mostly in the realm of transparency and notification. So when a potential contractor bids with a procurement agency, they would have to receive notification of how they can get more information about when the bid is unsuccessful, how to appeal the bid, and how to request more information, including a debrief on their bid. So this would involve email and first-class mail notifications to unsuccessful bidders, just so that they know that their offer was unsuccessful. It provides for information that DGS would have, or other procurement entity would have to provide to an unsuccessful bidder, explaining why the successful bid was chosen, why the unsuccessful bid was not chosen, the ranking of the bids, and supporting documents explaining the unit's decision in that process, and provides for a right to appeal within a certain time on different procurement decisions. And then the last provision of the bill as drafted would require GOSBA to assign staff who would serve as like liaisons to procurement agencies and just help them understand their procurement procedures and ensure that they're meeting minority business enterprise participation goals to the best of their capacity. There were 2 amendments adopted in subcommittee 3. The first 2 are written and were emailed to you. The first one requires an annual review of contracts from the previous year by the Secretary of General Services, including comparing the prices of contracts ultimately versus the bid, how well request for proposal criteria were met, and other considerations. And then the Secretary would share that report with the General Assembly each year. The second amendment adopted just added a group of unsuccessful bidders to have a right to appeal, and providing the timeline for them that they was not included in the bill as drafted. Then there was a third bill discussed in concept. If we want to address that, or do we want to take the first 2 amendments first, perhaps?
Yeah, let's take the solid amendments first and then the concept amendments separately.
Okay.
Delegate Rosenberg, do you have something to add?
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Chair. I mean, the purpose of this bill is to say we have a law, we have a state policy regarding procurement and certain preferences, and that the evidence that's been presented at the hearing and to the subcommittee is that there are a significant number of bidders who have been unsuccessful in being awarded, and that they should have a right by this statute counsel and being informed as to why they were not successful, so that they would be in a better position to succeed in the future and to therefore to further the state policy in this regard. And the amendments further that because there would be an annual review of the process mandated by the bill if it becomes law for the General Assembly's review. And the second provides, which should be pretty obvious, a right to appeal a procurement decision. So therefore would move the 2 amendments.
Is there discussion of the 2 amendments? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendments pass unanimously. Delegate Rosenberg?
How do you want to, well, there is discussion. There may be another amendment because there were some ideas circulated. We want to get the bill moving. If there is such an amendment, it will be brought back before appropriately the committee. So would now move the bill as amended.
Second, Delegate Kipke, it is my understanding that you are putting together an amendment that clarifies something. I want the whole body to understand that I made a commitment to say we were going to look at this and do it as a floor amendment. So I want people, before we vote on a conceptual amendment, if you would talk about what it is and why you did it, so that we're all very clear.
Having thought about it, I think it would be best just to let it go. And if we need that amendment, we can offer it in a bill next year. My concern, I deal with a lot of state and local bids, and my concern is the reflex of those people will be just to give the most useless information possible to the losing bidders. But I don't have the bandwidth to figure out what is the right way to outline the information that they provide. If Delegate Barron has already thought about it, or anybody else, then maybe we could work on it today. But we can see how this is working and then maybe respond to it in the future. That's what I'm thinking at the moment.
Delegate Barron, do you have anything to add to that? Delegate Barron, I don't hear you. Delegate Rosenberg.
I would just add, there's also the possibility there's going to be a hearing on this bill in the Senate. That
Right.
we could
That's
come
true.
up with an amendment at that time.
That's true. Okay, so what I would say to summarize the amendment is it clarifies and makes slightly more stringent the bill in some of its terms. Would that be fair, Delegate Kipke?
It is. And the only other thing I'd like to say very respectfully is if we're going to move bills like this, I would like to move them earlier so that we can have a little more time. I really hate the fact that we moved this today without the normal opportunities to have deep thoughts about things. Thank you.
And Delegate Kipke, in response, I couldn't agree with you more. And with love and respect, thank you for those comments. And I will try my very best not to have this happen too much in the future. As you know, I try always to do the best that I can. Delegate Krebs, do you have a question on the conceptual? Well, there is no conceptual amendment this time.
Right.
Delegate
No,
Krebs.
Thank you.
So there's no motion before us, is there?
Do you want a motion, Madam Chair?
What?
We
You want-
moved
I
the
can move
bill.
as amended. Move the bill as amended.
Yeah, because there's no conceptual amendment. So we've had the bill moved as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Delegate Krebs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think the whole idea of this bill is a very good one. And I know we had the bill last year, and I happened to sit in on the subcommittee meeting today because I was on another bill. And I was disappointed because the sponsor of the bill basically said he had not done any homework on it in this year, even though we had the same opposition. Last year, he hadn't reached out to any of the agencies or MACO or MML or any of the, and we work these bills. I agree with Delegate Kipke. It's not structured enough to say what they have to tell people. I think they say it's gonna be $5.9 million. It's gonna have a position in every department of state government. And I don't think it's been thoughtfully, the way this bill is gonna pass with this amendment on it, it's so vague of what they have to say. I don't think it's gonna do any good. So I hope that they come up with some ideas. I'm disappointed that the sponsor didn't work this during the interim with these groups to say, what do we really need? What language do we really need to make this work? We're passing a bill here and it's going to have a good name on it and it's got a good intention, but for all intents and purposes, I don't see how it's really going to help. It's so vaguely described of what is needed to give feedback. So for that reason, I think it's not been thought out. I'm going to vote no, only for the reason is I think it's not ready for prime time. And I wish it were. I wish the subcommittee had more time. And maybe if it comes back from the Senate with more specifics in it that really have teeth in this, we can put bills out there forever with names on them that have good intentions. And if they don't do what you think they're going to do, it's not very meaningful. So
Thank you, Delegate Krebs, for your comments. I appreciate that very much. Delegate Shalega.
I also I've done contracting. I've bid for state jobs. I know what it's like to get rejected. I think, and not know why. I too support the intent of this bill, but this morning while we were working on the bill with the bill sponsor, he said he'd like to move the responsibility to another office, which I can't remember what the name of that office was. And he hadn't asked them if they were going to take this responsibility. So I too wish we had had time to work it out because I would have really liked to see this bill pass in a meaningful way. So I'm going to vote no, just because a $5.9 million fiscal note and people who haven't come to the table yet, I just don't think that it's good policy to do that.
Thank you, Delegate Shalega. I see Delegate Sample Hughes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just say, we also need to be mindful of the fact that we may be overlooking the fact that may not be getting the best bang for our buck with contracts, and we could find that we are saving in the long run. So I think this is an important bill, and I do believe that we have some time to squeeze out some amendment that can tighten it a little bit. This is my personal belief, and I'm willing to help with it. But I also know that we can possibly, as a state, find some savings in the midst of going with bids that are of quality and bids that are of sound mind. So I'm still in favor of this bill, but I think that, I think we have enough time to just at least make it a little bit stronger. And I too am concerned that the bill sponsor didn't have the I's dotted and the T's crossed, because I come from local government, and I think their words from MACO is important, but at the same time, I think we still have time to take care of it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Delegate Penny Melnick.
Yeah, I just want to, regarding the fiscal note, I know that the fiscal writer wrote that to the extent that the bill does not require a constant on-site presence in each agency by GOSBOT monitor, GOSBOT may be able to assign a single monitor to multiple agencies and reduce the cost associated with the requirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Penny-Melnick. I see no other hands in the panel. Delegate Penny-Melnick, I need you to take your hand down so that we can have a vote and you're registered where you want to be. All those in favor of the bill, say aye. All those
Aye.
to be in the no, please raise a hand in the column. Delegate Shalega, Delegate Krebs, Delegate Chisholm, Delegate Riley, Delegate Morgan. Delegate Saab. I have 6 no votes. If anyone else needs to be there, I don't see you. The bill passes with 18 votes. We're moving on now to the last bill, which I added, which I think is not really on the list because we don't have the amendments. I do want to talk to you about this bill. Their hands up. You want to take your hands down now because we're done with 1214. 1335 is an incredibly important bill having to do with privacy. And the amendments have mostly turned it into working to find the right definition, and the MHCC working with stakeholders over the interim to find the right definitions and make sure that privacy is protected in an efficient way through CRISP. And I have talked to stakeholders, in particular, the League of Life and Health Insurers, who was concerned about this bill. And they have clarified they were never really opposed to the bill. They were just concerned, let's see. To be clear, carriers were never opposed to the ability for consumers to opt out of the sharing on their data. Our concerns were purely with the modifications of the definition of health information exchange and the corresponding shift to how carriers would share data. We did not want to rush such an important policy adjustment and respectfully requested the chance in the interim to sit down with the Maryland Healthcare Commission and other relevant stakeholders to discuss the most appropriate way forward. We are very appreciative of the study amendments offered and look forward to working over the upcoming months to find a solution. So what they basically said is they are comfortable with the bill as the amendments, which are not in writing at this time. So we're not, don't be confused. We're not going to vote on this bill right this minute because that is just plain too fast. I have become comfortable with this bill. I would like to have a very quick, or have the bells rung? I don't hear them in my.
No.
No bells.
Good. Keep your ears open for the bells, and if they ring, do this, everybody, so that I know. I'd like you to think about that bill and take a look at that bill. I know that that is the fast track, which is what you guys are not feeling too happy about. I'm not sure quite how to handle it, and I'm asking. I don't want to push it so hard that you're uncomfortable, period.
What's the bill number again, Madam Chair? Sorry.
1335, I believe.
75, 1375.
What?
Madam Chair?
Say it again, Delegate Kelly. Delegate Kelly.
1375.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
What I can do is get the amendments drawn up and get it into a reprint form. I don't recommend them pulling up House Bill 1375 as it appears on the website because it's going to be amended.
Yes, it's drastically amended, actually. So let's do that. Delegate Hopwood. Yes, right.
Just Darren.
Is that a promotion?
I think it's a position.
No, definitely
No,
a
I think
demotion.
it's not a
Definitely a
demotion.
demotion. It's a demotion.
It's a demotion. I agree. I appreciate your text, that's one of the things that's been going on while I've been trying to run the meeting. And I really appreciate that. I know you're working as fast and as hard as you can on so many things. I would like you to do that for us. If there's a chance to pull us off the floor, so to speak, or maybe get a 20-minute break to look at this later, if you would please, when you get the email from Aaron, if you would really look at this. And if you want to text me that you've done it and you're comfortable, or that you're not comfortable, or you just want to wait and see what happens, that's up to you. But I'd like you to think about it, because I think without the process in place for the upcoming year, that we're going to lose a year of protection and simplification for citizens. And I think that that's worth thinking about. So that's my ask of you today, on top of all the other asks I've made of you all session, all week, and all day already. And it's only 11 o'clock. So with that, I don't think there's anything left on the agenda unless someone corrects me. Is there anyone who needs to say anything? I see Delegate Kelly's
Can I
hand.
just very briefly, because I think, first of all, I hate putting in bills late, and I also am not thrilled with the process of 1375 being so late. And we had a sponsor-only hearing, and I didn't get a chance to make sure the committee was aware that with the amendments, all of the stakeholders are on board. The HGAU is on board. The carriers are on board. And the reason why I think it's, in addition to what the chairman laid out in terms of the timeline for finding the solutions for this being essential, where there is agreement in this bill already is in the need for the universal opt-out. And that is something that is incredibly important, particularly for the most vulnerable among us. For example, folks in domestic violence situations. And so it's those advocates who really need us to move forward with the opt-out part of the bill, which is what is not part of the study that we're doing. So I would not be trying to rush something before crossover if I didn't think that it was time sensitive for helping vulnerable people. The members of health occupations know this is an issue that we've heard from the advocates for these organizations that represent vulnerable people in terms of the need for privacy. Over the last couple of years, this is an issue they've been very worried about. So that's just my pitch and also my apology for having a bill that's so late.
And in her defense, it's my bill that's so late that's in her name. So just so you know, she shouldn't take the fall for that. The information came to us late, and I felt the need to put it in and asked her to do it for me. So with that, fly and be free for a minute or two, and I'll see some of you on the House floor and some of you on the big monitor. And thank you all again for all your cooperation and your help in getting us through this session. See you later.